Thank you, Madam Clerk. Welcome, everybody, in this wonderful May 10th meeting. Welcome to our joint board of management. I will call the meeting to order. First, I'll start off with our land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge with respect the history, spirituality, and culture of the Anishinaabe, the people of the three fires known as the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. We have inhabited this land from time immemorial. And further give thanks to the Chippewa Saugeen, the Chippewa Nawash, now known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, as the traditional keepers of this land. We also recognize the Métis and Inuit whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. May we all, as treaty people, live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse people. Moving on to our agenda, approval of the agenda. Is there any add-ons to our agenda here today? Seeing none, the recommendation is that the agenda be approved as presented. Someone move on the floor, please. Moved by Steve, second by Barb. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? See none, show of hands, all in favor? Opposed, the motion is carried. Declaration of pecuniary interest, you can clear anytime you see fit during the meeting. Minutes of the previous meetings. The recommendation is that the minutes of the March 8th, 2022 Inner Township Fire Department Joint Board of Management meeting be approved. Someone to move, put it on the floor, please. Moved by Sue, second by Steve. Any discussion motion before us? See none, a show of hands, all in favor? The motion is carried. Delegation, we have one delegation, our BDO representative, Tracy Smith. I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the board for having me here today. I'd like to thank Samantha for helping us get through the audit and getting the financial statements to you. The white report that you have in your package does contain all the required communications as your auditor. It is very similar to the prior year, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, just some of the highlights that I'm required to report to you. If just going to the summary on page 3 there. So the financial statements are in draft. They need to be approved by the board before we can release our final report. We declare that we are independent to perform the audit. Materiality was $27,000. There were no internal control issues that arose as a result of our audit. There was one unadjusted difference that you'll find on page 7 of the report. It does relate just to a timing difference on the capital purchase of the radios. So both, since the radios weren't received before the year end, they should have been actually reported in the 2022 year end. Again, it's just a timing error. There's no impact on your surplus because those radios were funded with grants. So both the expense and the grant has been accrued in the 2021 statements. But according to accounting standards, I do need to report to you that is a timing difference. So that's the highlights of the required communication. So very, very fast. We'll move on to the financial statements. If we'll scroll down to the auditor's report, which is on page 2. Our opinion. Yeah. One more. Yeah, there's our auditor's report is on page 2. In our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects of the financial position at December 31st, 2021. So in a clean opinion, as I said, there were no internal control issues. the unadjusted difference was not material, so we can issue a clean opinion on the financial statements. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things from the financial statements on page 4, which is the balance sheet, the statement of financial position. At cash at December 31st was $592,363. However, that really is the reserve fund balance. So if you took the reserve fund balance out of that cash, you would actually have a negative operating account. So you're basically borrowing from your reserves for your operations. And that stems largely from the result of you are carrying a deficit forward from the prior year. So there was $144,000 that we carried forward from the prior year, and the current year had a $31,122,000 deficit. So you did have another small deficit in 2021.
Tracy, is that because of call volume?
Sorry?
Why are we carrying that over? Is it because of call volume? Please go ahead, Sam.
So the choice was made to carry forward the deficit from last year due to ongoing negotiations regarding the ownership of the Township Fire Department. That is why it was not funded.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
So there's 175,239 operating deficit that is carried forward and as of December 31st, 2021, which should be dealt with in your negotiations. So the other thing that I want to point out about the balance sheet, as you are aware, for the reserves, there were, since 2014, each municipality is holding their own reserve cash balance. So any unspent capital it is being held by each individual municipality. So you see those amounts on your balance sheet marked as due from Georgian Bluffs and due from Meaford future capital. So those receivable balances are basically your cash reserves that have not yet been spent. The other two amounts that you see on there as due from the Township Georgian Bluffs and due from the municipality Meaford, the current portion, those represent basically November and December operating amounts that are cash flow that were received subsequent to the end or subsequent to the year end. And the other thing that the board needs to be aware of is in the due from the municipality of Meaford in the current portion, there are also, that also includes capital amounts that have been spent that is due to the fire department in a total of just over $98,000, and that dates back to 2014. So that those amounts are also current amounts that are owing to the fire department. So those are the main things on the balance sheet. The accumulated surplus, the $2.6 million, that's represented by your capital assets of $1.2 million, capital reserve of $1.1 million, a working operating reserve of $150,000, and that deficit that I said of $175,239. You can find details of that in note 3 for your reference. So as I said, the operating deficit was $31,122. That doesn't directly tie into your statement of operations because you have both operating and capital in there. But that was the operating deficit. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on the financial statements. I'll maybe just take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Tracy. Questions from the board? Steve, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Worley. Can you explain the 98,000 from 2014?
Okay, so every year you budget for an amount to be contributed for capital.
Correct.
The amount that you don't spend is it goes into that future capital. So the individual municipality holds it there, and it's not actually, you don't actually transfer it. But the amount that's spent, the capital that's spent every year, that is due to the fire department because the money has been spent by the fire department. And so the 98,000 is an accumulation of the capital that was spent back to 2014. A large part of it was in 16, 17 when you bought the fire truck. Meaford did transfer over a 50,000 lump sum to help fund that fire truck, but the difference has not yet been paid to the fire department.
Is there a similar debit or credit from Georgian Bluffs?
Georgian Bluffs is up to date except for the 2021 capital that has been spent.
Thank you.
And Tracy, does that amount that's still outstanding for Meaford accumulate with the interest?
No.
Just asking.
No, I think it should be looked after. So.
Yeah.
We can provide a detailed listing of each year and what was purchased and the amounts.
Barb, any comments? You muted.
Thanks for that, Tracy. And I think that we certainly need to talk about how to this 98,000 must be repaid. It would be helpful to have that list. And Matt, thanks for popping in here. There may be an explanation for that I'm not aware of. But do you have any further information on this, Matt?
Matt, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I don't actually. This is something I'm not aware of, but really just popping on to say that this seems like something we can and should resolve. And so I'll talk to Sam and Brittany, and I'm sure we can get this sorted.
Of course, and as soon as possible. I was not aware of it either. So a listing of the expenditures would be helpful, I think.
For sure.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Barb. Thanks, Steve. Any other questions from the board on Tracy's report? How about our treasurer? Sam, any comments?
No, I did not have any additional comments to add. I think Tracy covered everything.
Great. So there's no other comments on it.
Mr. Mayor, can I interrupt for 1 minute? Before we move on, I would just recommend that the board move a motion to accept and approve the financial statements as presented.
Yeah, because I do not see a motion here, so thank you. That's okay. She's way ahead of me as usual. Madam Clerk, do you want to propose a motion, or is it exactly what you just said?
Simply exactly what I just said, being that the board accept and approve the financial statements as presented.
Okay. Someone to move the motion, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Carlton, second by Mayor Klumpus. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? See none, a show of hands, all in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. And that, well, further on our agenda, that'll go back to both council for final approval, correct?
So the financial statements won't, the budget will.
Sorry,
That's
the
what's
budget.
later on in the agenda.
Okay. Tracy, thanks very much for your time coming to see us again. Nice to see you at least once a year. Probably.
Thanks, Tracy.
Well, go enjoy the sunshine. Thank you. So I'm going to move on with our agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any questions from the public? See none. Welcome, Chief. We know correspondence, staff reports. We're down to the Fire Chief. Fire Chief's quarterly report. Jeff, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Yeah,
Maybe,
just
sorry, Jeff.
go ahead.
let me read this motion first. I'll put it on the floor first before you start. That the fire chief's quarterly report covering January to March 22 be received for information. Moved by Steve, second by Sue. And now I'll turn the floor over to you. Please go ahead.
Just more for the information purposes, just a quick breakdown of all the calls. We did some comparables for the last year to this year. We're actually down in numbers as of last month, but I think that's the trend's starting to go the other way. We're starting to get a few more calls, so we're probably going to be running on par for probably by the end of this month. So just an update on our training for you is there. If anybody has any questions, I did highlight a few calls about a couple of house fires we attended, as well as our the Grey County Airlight support units getting used a bit more. So it's been out a few times. Just want to update everybody on that. And if anybody has any questions, like prevention is, he's doing very well in prevention. He's got those numbers and is inspecting every Tuesday. So he's doing well for that. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm going to ask you a question first from the chair. The question was posed to me about one neighbor burning plastic and obviously disturbing the rest of the neighborhood. What I suggested these people to do is to call you at the fire office so you could look at it and see if what you had to do. Am I telling people right?
Yeah, with regards to those burns, if it's being a discomfort, we do have people that call directly to 911, and we do have people that call the fire hall. So what I tell people, if it's after hours, to call 911 if it's a disturbance, because we need to know at the time what they're burning, because we've done follow-ups, and when we get out there, the fires are out or they're cleaned up. Some people wait till the next day, but I always do I try to do follow-ups to talk to the neighbor, to that person, and saying, we received this call, just to let you know, yeah, you can't burn unnatural materials, like don't be burning plastics. But if we know at that time, it's a lot easier for us to deal with and enforce something if it needs to be enforced.
Okay, that's
Yeah, no, you're directing them right, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the fire chief from the board? I don't see any. So I'll move on. Thank you, Jeff, very much for your report. Madam Clerk?
Just a vote on the motion, please.
Yeah, I was going to. We have a motion on the floor. I would ask for a show of hands. All in favor of the motion before us? Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to our next item, is our Treasury Department. I'll read the recommendation first, that the 2022 Township Fire Department budget update be referred to both ownership councils for final ratification. Moved by Barb, second by Sue. And I guess I'll turn the floor to our treasurer. Madam Treasurer, please go ahead.
Thank you. So following the board management meeting on January 25th, we are presenting here to you a updated 2022 budget report, as this board had requested further information in relation to the cost of living. At the original presentation, it was including a 3.7% cost of living, which was what Georgian Bluff's policies resulted in. However, since the presentation of the 2022 board or fire meeting and the passing of Georgian Bluffs, it was changed to be that Georgian Bluffs was to implement a 2% cost of living. So we have made that change to the management salaries here, resulting in a $3,000 decrease in the management expenses. However, to not impact each individual municipality's total contributions and in essence their annual budgets, we are proposing a allocation between changing that operating contributions and the capital contributions. And with capital contributions being changed, that also would decrease the amount that would need to come from reserves in order to fund the new fire truck. If anyone has any questions, I'm here to answer.
Thank you, Sam. questions of the treasurer? See no questions, a show of hands, all in favor of the motion before us? Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have none. Board inquiries and comments. Does the board have any questions of our chief? Steve, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Burley. Not a question, a comment. As a board member, I haven't been in meeting with Jeff since he got hired. I have congratulated him in Meaford, and I'd like to congratulate you now on the job. And I think we made the right choice. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you, Steve, and I agree 100%. Jeff, just a overall comment. I see you guys seem to be fairly busy, at least going out Grey Road Run. You seem to be running out there quite a bit. Anything serious or just a normal type of calls you get this time of year?
Well, nothing out of the ordinary. A lot of we've had some alarm calls and a few medicals out that way, but nothing grass fire, but nothing really outside the box or what we normally do.
Okay, thank you. We know comments for Jeff. Closed session we've done.
I just wanted, if I could, sir.
Go ahead.
Just with regards to what's going on in the fire all above and beyond that other report is the truck tenders out for the new pumper tanker, which closes on May 26th. So next month we should have a little bit more information on that to move forward. For the board's information, I did attend and for the people here, I did attend a council meeting in Meaford with Courtney from Meaford, just to, because we're kind of involved. We're involved with them and they're involved with us. So we did do his quarterly report. We did talk about working together in the past going forward. So that relationship with Meaford Fire is positive. And I look at it's going to make both fire departments that much stronger, and the working relationship is second to none. And I don't foresee that going anywhere but up. So I just wanted to say thanks to the board and to Georgia Bluffs and Meaford for the support for the chief's position moving forward. And I look forward to it for a few years anyways, hopefully get another 10. So maybe more, who knows? But I just want to thank everybody. As well, just kind of with regards to, I don't know if this should be into a motion or not, but I've had the ability or the chance to, there's grants out there for fire departments. Do I need to address that? Like with the fire department to apply to, if I just was looking for some direction on that moving forward with, okay, we can take that. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jeff. Steve, please go ahead.
One question. Jeff, have you got any updates on the new curriculum that the province wants to download onto or is it just still lost in space?
Yeah, actually it's still confusing because like, they'll start a conversation and by the end of it, they change their ways. Like, so there's still a lot of gray area. They have told us that in the near future, there's supposed to be some more information coming out. There's a thing they call legacy, which is going to address the existing firefighters we have with their years of experience and all their extra training. So that's more like giving them the status they deserve for their years and stuff. So we're still not 100% sure where that's going. That's something that's going to come into effect, supposed to be in January 1st of this year. We have received some of the curriculum, but it's still in development. So we're no further ahead. So
thank you. I like the legacy part of that.
Yeah, the legacy is going to be nice because in my mind, we have potential to we've got a lot of years of experience and we've got firefighters with maybe 8 or 10 years left in their career. I don't want to force those people out because they gave us 20 years and they're giving us lots of knowledge and and they are some pretty good workhorses too. So it's gonna benefit the department as a whole. But moving forward, we're looking forward to certifying, so then we have that under our belt for support, and that helps the municipality as a whole and us as a fire department.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions or comments from the board? Barb, please go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to add my comments to Jeff's attendance at our council meeting. I found this was really, really helpful and very positive interaction between our two fire departments to present the quarterly reports that we're going to be getting from our fire chief. It sends a very strong positive message. It is great to see that collaboration and the synergies between the two departments. So thank you, Jeff, again for that, and for participating. I'm sure we'll see you more frequently at our council meetings. And I hope that you will take advantage of and have Courtney come and do the same at your council meetings, because it really does send a very strong positive message that we appreciate. So thanks to all.
Thank you, Barb. We know closed session here today. So we're down to our last motion for adjournment. The next meeting is June the 7th at 2 o'clock. I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Sue, second by Barb, that we adjourn. Show of hands, all in favor? Opposed? We're now adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the sunshine.